What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be doing a most entertaining fighters in each UFC division, and I'll be putting two fighters each in these little brackets on the screen. It's not a tier list. I am using Tier Maker, though. I just think this is the easiest format. But let's get into it, man. Let's waste no time. The first fighter is at flyweight, Manel Cap. I mean, look at his last fight. It was awesome versus Felipe dos Santos. Crazy fight. He's an amazing striker. He's got the grappling. I mean, he KO'd Zalgas Magulov, which is very hard to do. Not a lot of people finish him. A lot of people beat him by decision. Not a lot of people finish him. And Cap's fight with Pantoja was also great. And yeah, I just think it's hard for this guy to have a boring fight, man. He's just an awesome fighter to watch. And another guy who's an awesome fighter to watch is a guy who actually beat Cap. I think you guys know, Pantoja. Now, his last fight was a stinker. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it didn't help that Royval couldn't get up, but Pantoja also couldn't find the finish. That fight was fun at some parts on the feet, but overall, I think it was a pretty boring fight. I mean, the guys had one boring fight. You can't shit on him for one boring fight. So, yeah, Pantoja is one of the most exciting flyweights on the roster. The dude is wild on the feet. He goes for the KO. If he takes you down, unless you are like another top-notch grappler, he's probably going to submit you. If he gets your back, it's over. And I can't wait to see his next fight because I think he will be good. Whether he fights Albazi, Cap, I don't know who he's going to fight, but I think it should be good. So let's move on to bantamweight. Corey Sandhagen, man, the Sandman. His fight with Rob Font, everybody knows that was a horrendous fight, but he tore his tricep. He did what he needed to do to win. I think that's very smart. But if you look at his other fights, his fight with Peter Yan, one of the best fights I've ever seen. His fight with Dillashaw, it was a great fight. I mean, look, he KO'd Frankie Edgar. That was one of the nastiest KOs ever. I mean, flying knees are always nasty, but that one was especially nasty. Yeah, I mean, most of his fights are just going to be really entertaining. And I think that he should be the guy to fight O'Malley after Cheeto. That is my cat. Jumping, by the way, he did that. And I was recording this video. This is my second take. He ruined it. He jumped on my keyboard and he turned everything off. So let's hope he doesn't do that again. But yeah, I think I want to see him fight O'Malley, man. If we don't get that fight, I think that is going to be a disgrace. That fight would be absolutely fantastic. That's such an interesting stylistic matchup. Even though Corey's implementing more grappling into his game, he's still one of the most entertaining bantamweights on the roster, and I cannot wait to see his next fight. So the next entertaining fighter we've got at bantamweight is Sean O'Malley. I mean, dude is a beast. As much as I don't really like him, I love watching him fight. I don't like him as a person. I love watching him fight, though, man. I mean, he's got some of the best boxing in the UFC. He's a great counterpuncher. He switches stances. He throws spinning kicks. His feints are really interesting to watch. I mean, he's an amazing striker. And I honestly think he KOs a lot of the division besides Cheeto, because Cheeto's made of iron. So I do think that his fight at 299 will be pretty boring, but he will remind us in his next fight that he's a beast. And I think he KOs whoever he fights next besides Corey Sandhagen. And yeah, I think he would KO Merab. I think he's got a great style to beat Merab. But we are moving on to featherweight. So this guy is not like any other fighter in the UFC, man. He's one of the most entertaining on the entire roster. You guys probably know. I bet you could guess. It's Diego Lopez. That guy, he goes out there and he gives his heart and his soul every time he fights. It is insane. He is going for the finish the whole time, from the beginning bell to the end bell. It is absolutely insane to watch. And I do think he will eventually be a top 5 guy. I mean, he had a pretty close fight with Evloev in his debut. I think he's gonna KO Sadiq Youssef really bad, but yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about Diego Lopes. He is extremely entertaining on the feet, and he might be the most entertaining grappler in the UFC right now. I mean, maybe Chimaev is more entertaining. I don't really know. I think Diego Lopes might be the most entertaining grappler right now. But we're gonna move on to the next guy. Ilia Topuria, man. This guy, he just KO'd Volk. Very sad, but every single performance of his in the UFC is fireworks. I mean, he either KOs you or he beats the shit out of you the whole time. He has everything. He's got some of the best grappling at 145. He is the best striker at 145. There is not a better striker than him, in my opinion. I think he would knock out Brian Ortega in the first exchange, because Brian Ortega is like a zombie. I think he would knock out Yair. I don't think Yair is going to hurt him. Ilia could take him down, but I don't think he needs to win that fight. Ilia is one of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC as well. The dude gets knockouts or he beats the life out of you. And, I mean, the only complaint I would have is nobody is going to come close to beating this guy. Every fight is just going to be so one-sided, but that's still entertaining. So, yeah, Ilia Topuria, one of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC. I've been hearing he doesn't want to fight till October or November. I think that is just sad, man. I want to see him fight soon. I think his next fight is going to be amazing. And the dude is just going to grow into an even bigger star. He's one of the biggest names in the UFC right now, I think. And I think he's only going to grow from here. And I'm excited to watch it, man. I think he's like a once-in-a-lifetime fighter. But now, we move on to lightweight. There are so many options at lightweight. I'm just going to tell you guys right now, Gaethje's not on my list. I know he's an extremely entertaining fighter, and I'm sure if you're watching this video, you've seen so many other tier list videos. I'll admit, this is not creative, but I want to change it up a little bit. Everybody would have Gaethje as the most entertaining lightweight. But I've got Benoit Saint Denis, man. This guy is a monster. He is a wild man on the feet. He is an amazing grappler. I mean, he just destroys people. He destroys them. He takes their soul, man. There's not a whole lot to say. He's just an amazing fighter to watch. He doesn't have a boring bone in his body. It's absolutely nuts to watch this guy fight. But we will move on to another lightweight. You guys could probably guess who it is. It's Charles, man. His title reign was one of the most entertaining title reigns in UFC history. I mean, every fight is absolute fireworks. By the way, this light is my phone. I have topology on it if I want to look at anything. So that's why it looks like I'm about to tell ghost stories. But, yeah, Charles is... I don't know if he's the most entertaining fighter in the UFC, but he's definitely one of them. I would put him in, the top 3. Every fight, it's guaranteed to be amazing whether he wins or he loses. So, yeah, that's who I've got for lightweight. Now we move on to welterweight. Kind of like flyweight, there's not a whole lot of options. I know people might say, oh, look at Shavkat, he's so entertaining. Get out of here. Get out of here with that. That's nonsense, dude. I mean, his fight with Wonderboy was shit. Just because you get a finish does not make it entertaining. And that's one of the rare cases where somebody gets a finish and it's still boring. It was... everybody saw it coming, too. I don't know who was picking Wonderboy in that fight. It just kind of... I don't know. He did it... I hear he had an ankle injury in that fight. Props to him. He got it done. He is still on the list. but he's not the most entertaining. I'll tell you who the most entertaining is, man. It's JDM. Now, his fight with Kevin Holland was good. It wasn't insane. It was still a good fight to watch. But other than that, man, this guy, his fight with Basil Hafez, he overcame a lot of adversity in that fight and then went on to, like, 10-8 Hafez. Like, it was bad. That fight was a brutal beating. I don't know how people thought Hafez won. Round 3, like, that could have been a standing TKO. And now I just want to say, I did talk a lot of shit about Shavkat. He's still an entertaining fighter. He would have been the most entertaining if the Wonder Boy fight was a little better, but that kind of brought it down a notch for me because it was really just a little bit disappointing. I thought he was going to do better than he did. Like, I thought he would get it done. I thought he would take Wonder Boy down, completely dominate him in the first round. That's not what happened, but he's still a very entertaining fighter. But I think JDM is just the most entertaining welterweight on the roster. He's my favorite one. I mean, the guy has nukes for hands. He's got some of the best boxing. It's so crisp, his boxing, man. It's awesome. And, yeah, this is my opinion for welterweight. But we move on to middleweight. I've got Anthony Hernandez, man. Now, before the Kopylov fights, a lot of people were picking against this guy. I picked Hernandez, man. He's a beast. He doesn't get tired. He just, like, he'll keep trying to take you down. He'll beat the shit out of you on the feet, even if you beat the shit out of him. Like, he's a beast. He does not get tired. It's like Merab if Merab was a little more entertaining. And my cat is about to fuck with the video. I hope he doesn't, but I think he might. Oh, there he is. Alright. Okay. Now we move on to another middleweight. Paulo Costa, man. There were a lot of options for middleweight, but I think Paulo Costa is the best option. And I know, like, his fight with Whitaker was nuts. I don't know how that didn't get fight of the night. That spinning wheel kick was fucking awesome. I mean, Costa, he brings it or he gets KO'd like he did against Adesanya. Like, sure, his performance against, like, Vettori and Rockhold, they, like, kind of let us down. But they were still great fights. So I think very hard for Costa to have a boring fight. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense considering he just lost, but I would love to see him fight Cannonier at UFC 301. I think that would be a great fight. But we move on to light heavyweights. I mean, there's an obvious guess. Everybody knows at least one of the fighters that I'm going to put on here, so I'm going to put the one that people might not expect. Khalil Roundtree Jr. This guy, like, he beats you like you owe him money. People say he's one of the most violent fighters in the UFC. I agree, man. His Muay Thai is so fun to watch. His kicks are vicious. He's got nasty power. I mean, he's just an awesome fighter to watch. I think he might be my favorite light heavyweight, besides the other guy who's going to be on the list, Jiri. I mean, it's no secret. Jiri, I think he might honestly be the most entertaining fighter to ever be in the UFC. His fights are nuts. It's like he drags you into a 50-50 kind of war. And I'm praying to God he beats Rakic because I want to see him get that belt back, man. We need Jiri title fights. If a division has Jiri as the champion, it's a good division, man. He's the most entertaining fighter on the roster right now, I think. And I cannot wait to see him fight next. His style, like just his striking style in general, is just awesome to watch. I mean, he's got his hands down. His striking is not like uniform striking at all. Cut that out, man. Whatever. It's not like a uniform striking style. If a boxing coach watched him strike, they might puke. But it's still like some of the most entertaining striking in the UFC, and that's what I like about UFC in general. Is like fighters, they can really mix up their style and still have a lot of success. So, yeah, Jiri Prochazka, this is kind of like the most obvious pick of the video in my opinion. But we go on to heavyweights. There are a couple of really solid options at heavyweight, but my number 2 option is Alexander Volkov. I just think he's a really fun fighter to watch, man. He's very well-rounded. He's got great striking, great kicks, great punches. I mean, and now he's developing a awesome ground game. I mean, he got an Ezekiel choke on Taito Vivasa. That, I think, I'm not sure if that's the only Ezekiel choke that's ever happened in the UFC. It's the only one I've seen. And I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't even know what an Ezekiel choke was until he did it. Like, I didn't even know. So, yeah, that was awesome to watch, especially because it's a heavyweight doing it. Usually these heavyweights are kind of boring. Like, they're kind of like lab-generated fighters. Like, when you got guys like Augusto Sakai, like, usually they're kind of boring. But not Volkov, man. He's an extremely entertaining fighter. And I really could see him just, maybe not winning the belt, obviously, because Tom Aspinall's there. I think Tom Aspinall beats him 10 out of 10 times. But I could see him getting another title shot in the future. I think he's going to keep winning until he gets to an Aspinall rematch. I think there are a lot of favorable matchups for him at heavyweights. But we move on to number 2. I've got the man himself, the real heavyweight champion of the world, Tom Aspinall, man. I think he has like the shortest average fight time in the UFC. It's absolutely nuts. This guy destroys everybody in front of him. It doesn't matter if you're the best striker at heavyweight. It doesn't matter if you're the best grappler at heavyweight, because he's going to beat you in any area of fighting possible. It's just like, I do think he would beat John Jones. I think he'd lay him out in the first round. I think that is the nightmare matchup for John Jones. And I said Tom Aspinall is the true heavyweight champion. That's because I think he is, man. Like, John Jones, he beat Cyril Gane. Cyril Gane, great striker. No ground game, man. 0. And he did arguably beat Francis. I agree. I do think he beat Francis. But Tom Aspinall beat Sergey Pavlovich. I think Pavlovich and Gane are like the same level of fighter, and I think John Jones being the champion, he should want to fight Aspinall. He should want to beat the actual number 1 contender, not an old fireman. But we're not talking about Jones or Stipe right now. We're talking about Aspinall. He doesn't have a boring bone in his body. And he'll either lay you out cold or he'll snap one of your limbs like he did to Volkov. I mean, the dude is one of the most complete fighters in the UFC. He gets finish after finish after finish all in the first round. I mean, it's hard to top that level of entertainment, and I cannot wait to see him fight next. Newsflash, guys, I don't think he's going to lose anytime soon. I think he's going to keep this train of finishes going. And, I think he's the next heavyweight GOAT. Yeah. Tom Aspinall, man. I think maybe he is the most entertaining fighter in the UFC. I was talking about Jiri. Tom Aspinall, he could be the most entertaining fighter. I wouldn't think you were crazy if you said that. But let me know what you guys think of this video. I know it's unedited. It might be a little sloppy. Sometimes I might be stuttering over some of my words. Sometimes my cat might jump in front of the camera. But it's my first couple of videos. I'm not really trying to go too crazy with any editing or anything like that. I'm just I enjoy making the videos. That's why I do it. I'm gonna try and upload every day. My videos for Saturday and Sunday are obviously covered because we got UFC going on. But yeah, I'm gonna be making a lot of these videos in the weekdays, and let me know what you guys think of the video, man. If you agree with my takes, let me know in the comments. If you disagree, let me know. Tell me why you disagree, and tell me who you would pick as the most entertaining fighter in the UFC. I will talk to you guys later. Expect a new video sometime tomorrow.